what happens next. And in Mike Flynn's case, we wanted to bring in our legal experts to analyze what happened on Friday and what is an extraordinary hearing on a writ of mandamus before the Court of Appeals, and what could happen next. There's a few different options that could happen next in what is now we're calling kind of like the saga of Mike Flynn's trial that just will not come to a close.
The ridiculous nature of where we are is you had the United States government come in and say, you know what, we shouldn't have prosecuted this case. We shouldn't have brought this case. We withheld exculpatory evidence. There was a bit of a frame up here. This case should not move forward. We join General Flynn's motion to dismiss the case. End the case. And that should have been an order that Judge Sullivan signed in literally minutes, not months. But, Andy, what happened here was this judge has got his own agenda.
Well, that's exactly correct, Jay. Judge Sullivan has decided to become both the prosecutor and the judge at the same time. He has appointed a former federal judge as his amicus curiae, which means friend of the court, to argue against the decision of the Justice Department to dismiss the case, to argue against the defendant's desire to have the case vacated. And he has got some agenda. I don't know what it is, but we're going to probably know on July 16th because, in my opinion, it's going back to the district court and the writ of mandamus is not going to issue, and they're probably going to let Judge Sullivan make a ruling one way or the other on whether to accept the government's motion to vacate, concurred in by the defense or not, and then I predict we're going to be back in the D.C. Circuit again, Jay.
Harry's joining us. Harry Hutchison, get his view on the situation as he sees it.
Well, I agree with the analysis put forward so far, and I think that the failure to dismiss in this particular case provides an incentive going forward for all defendants to decline to enter into plea deals, because once they do that, if Judge Sullivan's approach is allowed to stand, then they will set themselves up at least potentially for a perjury trap. And the case is even more egregious here. Why? Because the FBI had already concluded on January 4th that there was no derogatory information against General Flynn.
Than, too, we were talking about this idea of conflicts and just bizarre scenarios. You talked about the brief filed by Judge Gleason, or Mr. Gleason, the special prosecutor, if you will, appointed by Judge Sullivan, and the unique folks who are now on this brief who have represented others in the past. I mean, it just looks like a lot of conflicts going on.
It's pretty shocking, really, Jordan. I mean, the brief was signed by David O'Neill, one of the attorneys at Judge Gleason's firm. David O'Neill is the same attorney, Jordan, who represented Sally Yates when she testified in front of the House Intelligence Committee. And look, it's not just like there's association with people involved with this. Sally Yates was one of the participants, one of the authorizers of the very abuses in this case that is now causing the government to say we made a mistake and we have to withdraw the prosecution. So, Jordan, for the fact that one of the participants of that abuse, that the same attorney would now participate and sign Judge Gleason's amicus in the case, to me, makes the point that Jay and Harry were making earlier, and Andy as well, that they're just anything but neutral in this case, and the conflicts are all over the place. Quite frankly, the government ought to be running from this case because they're getting deeper every layer we go.